Welcome forward to Chapter 3, page 26 and 27, Retraining the Mind. Peace is a natural heritage of the soul. Everyone is free to refuse to accept his inheritance, but he is not free to establish what his inheritance is. The problem which everyone must decide is the fundamental question of authorship. All fears come ultimately and sometimes by way of very devious routes from denial of authorship. The offense is never to God, but only to those who deny him. To deny his authorship is to deny themselves the reason for their own peace, so that they see themselves only in pieces. This strange perception is the authority problem. There is no man who does not feel that he is imprisoned in some way. If this is the result of his own free will, he must regard his will as if it were not free, or the obviously circular reasoning involved in his position would be quite apparent. Free will must lead to freedom. Judgment always imprisons, because it separates segments of reality according to the highly unstable scale of desire. Wishes are not fact by definition. To wish is to imply that willing is not sufficient. Yet no one believes that what is wished is as real as what is willed. Instead of seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, say, will ye first the kingdom of heaven. And you will have said, I know what I am, and I will to accept my own inheritance. Creating versus the self-image. Every system of thought must have a starting point. It begins with either a making or a creating, a difference which we have discussed already. Their resemblance lies in their power as foundations. Their difference lies in what rests upon them. Both are cornerstones for systems of belief by which men live. It is a mistake to believe that a thought system which is based on lies is weak. Nothing made by a child of God is without power. It is essential to realize this, because otherwise you would not understand why you would have so much trouble with this course, and will be unable to escape from the prisons which you have made for yourself. You cannot resolve the authority problem by depreciating the power of your mind. So to do so is to deceive yourself, and this will hurt you because you know the strength of the mind. You also know that you cannot weaken it any more than you can weaken God. The devil is a frightening concept, because he is thought of extremely powerful and extremely active. He is perceived as a force in combat with God, battling him for possession of the souls he created. He deceives by lies and builds kingdoms of his own in which everything is in direct opposition to God. Yet he attracts men rather than repels them, and they are seen as willing to sell him their soul in return for gifts they recognize are of no real worth. This makes absolutely no sense. The whole picture is one in which man acts in a way he himself realizes is self-destructive, but which he does not choose to correct, and therefore perceives the cause as beyond his control. We have discussed the fall, or separation, before, but its meaning must be clearly understood without symbols. The separation is not symbolic. It is an order of reality or a system of thought that is real enough in time, though not in eternity. All beliefs are real to the believer. The fruit of only one tree was forbidden to man in his symbolic garden, but God could not have forbidden it, or it could not have been eaten. If God knows his children, and I assure you that he does, would he have put them in a position where their own destruction was possible? The tree, which was forbidden was named of the tree of knowledge, yet God created knowledge and gave it freely to his creations. The symbolism here has been given many interpretations, but you may be sure that any interpretation which sees either God or his creations as capable of destroying their own purpose is an error. Eating of the fruit of the tree of knowledge is a symbolic expression for incorporating into the self the ability for self-creating. This is the only sense in which God and his souls are not co-creators. The belief that they are implicit in the self-concept, a concept now made acceptable by its weaknesses or its weakness, and explained by a tendency of the self to create an image of itself. Its fear aspect is often ascribed to the fear of retaliation by a father figure or a particularly curious idea in view of the fact that no one uses the term to refer to the physical father. It refers to an image of the father in relation to an image of the self. Images are perceived, not known. Knowledge cannot deceive, but perception can. Man can perceive himself as self-creating, but he cannot do more than believe it. He cannot make it true. And as we said before, when you finally perceive correctly, you can only be glad that you cannot. But until then, the belief that you can is the central foundation stone in your thought system, and all your defenses are used to attack ideas which might bring it to light. You still believe that your image of your own creation. Your minds are split with your souls in this point, and there is no resolution while you believe the one thing that is literally inconceivable. That is why you cannot create and are filled with the fear about what you make. The mind can make the belief in separation very real and very fearful, and this belief is the devil. It is powerful, active, destructive, and clearly in opposition to God because it literally denies his fatherhood. Never underestimate the power of this denial. Look at your lives and see what the devil has made, but know that this making will surely dissolve in the light of truth because its foundation is a lie. Your creation by God is only foundation which cannot be shaken because the light is in it. Your starting point is truth and must come to return to this beginning. Much has been perceived since then, but nothing else can happen. This is why your souls are still in peace, and though your minds are in conflict. You have not yet gone back far enough, and that is why you become fearful. As you approach the beginning, you feel the fear of the destruction of your thought system upon you, as if you were the fear of death. This is no death, but there is a belief in death. The Bible says that the branch that bears no fruit will be cut off and will wither away. Be glad. The light will shine from the true foundation of life, and your own thought system will stand corrected. It cannot stand otherwise. You who fear salvation are willing death. Life and death, light and darkness, knowledge and perceptions are irreconcilable. To believe that they can be reconciled is to believe that God and man cannot. Only the oneness of knowledge is conflictless. Your kingdom is not of this world because it was given you from beyond this world. Only in this world is the idea of an authority problem meaningful. The world is not left by death but by truth, and truth can be known by all those whom the kingdom was created and for whom it waits. Thus ends the page 27.